Welcome to Horse Race Game Part 2, Detecting the Loser Horse. We're going to jump right in and make our horse race detect which horse is slowest. In this case, it's the green. In this race, red loses. Let's jump right in. To keep things moving smoothly, I've made a few small additions to our file from part 1. We're going to determine the loser horse when the race finishes. So on my race timeline, I added an onComplete callback, which is going to be this restart function. So I've went ahead and put the restart function here with a little comment that this is where we're going to find the loser horse. And I've also added GSDevTools so that we can inspect our race a little bit. If I replay the current race that I have here, you'll notice that it's the red horse that is the loser, okay? Well, we can obviously see that, but we need to programmatically determine which horse is going to be the losing horse. Well, the losing horse is the horse whose tween has the longest duration. And our timeline's duration of 3.71 is also the duration of the longest tween. So what we're going to do is loop through all the tweens in the timeline and figure out which tween has the same duration as the timeline. In my position parameter visualizer lesson, we did something similar where we built a very simple timeline and we looped through it so that we could visualize the duration and position of all the tweens. We did this by tapping into a timeline's getChildren method, which returns an array of all of its child animations. We then loop through that array and get the child tweens' start times and their durations so that we can build this little chart here. You'll notice that the circle tween starts at a time of 2, ends at a time of 3, and it's 1 second long. If I go back up into my code here and make that duration 4 seconds long, the next time I run, you're going to see that this tween here, there you go, is now 4 seconds long. And as I play through the timeline, you'll notice that the circle is now the last thing to end. So we're going to use a similar technique. We're going to loop through all the children of my race timeline and see if their duration matches that of the timeline. So first things first, I'm going to go into the restart function and I'm going to paste in this little bit of code. We're going to call race.getChildren, which is going to get an array of all the child tweens, and then we're going to run a for each loop on them with access to each tween. And inside that loop, I'm just going to log out the current tween's duration. So let's rerun and see which horse is going to lose. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, let's go. Ooh, it looks like the blue horse lost. Notice that our timeline has a duration of 3.97. I'm going to open up the browser console, and now you can see we're logging out the durations of all 3 tweens. Now the last tween here, you'll notice is 3.96528 in duration. That's the biggest number, and it matches up with the duration of our timeline, which is 3.97 when you round. So once we identify the tween whose duration matches the timeline's duration, we're going to tell its target to do something visual so that we can knock it out of the race. So let me close this output here. And after I log out the duration of the tweens, I'm going to just paste in this code here, which starts off with a conditional check. We're going to ask if the tween's duration equals the race's duration. Then we're going to create a loser variable that references the first target in that tween. Tween.targets gets us an array of all the targets of a tween. Remember, a tween could have multiple targets if you're doing something like a stagger. And so the target at a position of 0 is going to be the first and only target of that tween. So we'll establish our loser, and then we'll do a little GSAP tween on the loser, where we'll just fade it out, rotate it a bit, scale it down, move it over to the right with a power 2es with a duration of 1. Let me scroll down a bit so you can see where that function actually ends here. And let's just move this bracket in a bit. This is where the if statement ends, this is where the for each ends, and this is where the function ends. Let's give this new code a run, and hopefully the horse that finishes last is going to shrink down. What do we got? Aha! The red horse spins and moves out of the way. Excellent. Now if I replay this animation with GS DevTools, you'll notice our red horse remains shrunken and a little bit weird, okay? It's just replaying the same timeline with the same elements and nothing's getting reset. If I want to see a fresh race, I'm going to go hit the run button again, and now hopefully we have a different loser. What are we going to get? Ooh, red's off to a strong start, and it looks like blue loses. So we're a little bit past the 5-minute mark. I think this is a good place to stop. And in the next lessons, we'll work on getting the race to replay with just the remaining active horses. So I hope videos like this help you appreciate all the different hooks the GSAP API gives us. Things like getChildren, tween.duration, tween.targets. I cover a bunch in my courses, but of course, now that you've seen them, feel free to go into the GSAP docs and learn more about them there too. If you love lessons like this, check out this next video. It gives an overview of 99 bonus lessons all my students get when they join Creative Coding Club. See you in the next video.